Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm Jamie and I've got a couple of Amazon dupes I'd like to share with you using Dollar Tree items. Supplies I'll be using are these wood dowels, a windmill welcome sign, and this wood plank I cut in my garage. If you don't have scrap wood, Dollar Tree also carries wood plaques and signs that will work in place of this. To get started, I'm going to cut the tag off and then I'm going to use my needle nose pliers to remove that hanging chain thing off. Then with some heavy-duty wire clip cutters, I'm clipping the welcome sign off. Any wire cutters will do, but this sign is a little tough. Next, I'm taking the two long dowels and holding them up to the V I left cut on the windmill to see how wide the dowels need to be. Then I'm taking some E6000 and hot glue and gluing the dowels to the piece of wood. Next, I'm taking the smaller dowels and I'm holding it up to the stand so I can see where I need to make my cut. Going with some scissors, I'm going to just score along the side of the dowel, not cutting all the way through. These are pretty easy. I can just snap them in half with my fingers. And once I've done that, I'm just going to take my sanding sponge and smooth that surface out. It's a little rough. And once I've done that, I'm going to take my E6000 and hot glue and then glue it down. I know it's really hard to see at this angle, and don't worry, I do fix the camera here in just a second, but I continue this process with all the wood dowels. Originally, I had seen this windmill on Amazon. They wanted $20 for it, and then I had also seen Emily from Mama from Scratch. She had also done this windmill, and I decided that I also wanted to recreate this as well, adding my own little touch to it. Now that you can see a little bit better, I'm just continuing to build, to cut the dowels, sanding them, and then gluing them into place. And you'll be able to see here in a second that I keep playing with the X on the bottom because I was really unhappy with the way it was looking. So eventually I just kind of go in, I rip it back off, cut it down, and just kind of reposition it until I was happy with it. And I think I even did that with the middle one as well. Now to glue on our windmill, and we're going to use that little V right there to glue onto our dowels. Giving it a little extra security, I'm going in with a little extra hot glue. And this turned out pretty cute, and look, it spins. All right, I love this thing. Okay, so next I'm going in with some elephant chalk paint, some black chalk paint, and I'm going to mix the two together. I didn't really want this to be too light, and I'm just going to mix the two colors, and I'm going to give this one coat. Next, I'm doing some distressing with some Waverly antique wax, and I'm going to be doing this with a heavy dry brush, if that makes any sense, because I wanted it to have like kind of a heavy coat since this is already dark enough, and I wanted that antique wax to kind of stand out, so I did lay it on kind of thick with this. Then, as you can see, I distress the windmill with the antique wax to give it that aged look, and then I go in with the welcome sign and do the exact same thing. Next, I'm taking these rocks I had picked up from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to hot glue these to the base of my windmill. And if you don't have any rocks from Dollar Tree, I'm sure you could probably find some in your backyard. And then once I've got that done, I'm going to hot glue the flower down next to the rocks, and then I'm going to hot glue the welcome sign. And there you have it. I think this windmill turned out so stinking cute. Now for our second Amazon dupe. I have these 3 4x6 picture frames, and I picked these up from Dollar Tree. I chose these ones because it has the faux wood look, and I think that looks the most farmhouse. They also carry the 5x7 picture frames, but I thought the 4x6s were perfect for this project. So Amazon has this farmhouse picture frame, and it is super cute, but they wanted $20 for it, and I just knew looking at it that I could make this for a lot cheaper than that. And I think in total this project really only cost me $3, a dollar for each picture frame, because the nautical rope that I end up using, I already had it on hand. And there's my cat always getting in the way. It's like my little supervisor. So what I've done here is that I have taken some Waverly chalk paint in ivory, and I did just a light coat over each picture frame, and then I go in with a wet paper towel and I wipe off all the excess, so that way all you're left with is just the white paint that is in the grains of the wood. Then with my supervisor nearby, I swear I don't have the heart to tell her to leave sometimes. She's so curious. I take the back off the frames and remove the picture that came in the frames, and I thought that I could remove the backing of this frame, but you know, I was worried that I was going to ruin it, and so I just kind of left it, and then later on you see that I go in with scissors and I just cut that stand off because I'm not going to be needing it. Then flipping my pictures over, I've already printed out some pictures of my kids that I put in the frames, and then I'm just going to flip these over, and then I'm just going to take some nautical rope and I'm going to measure out the amount of rope that I need for my frames. Now that I figured out the amount of rope that I need for my frames, I'm just going to go in, I'm going to make a couple of knots, and then I'm going to make sure that there is a knot in between each of the frames. And I'll tell you, I'm not going to lie, but this process was actually kind of a pain in the butt, because as simple as just making a knot and making sure that they're in between all the frames, this was kind of difficult because I had to tie knots and untie them so many times because I would get a knot in place and then it would seem right, and then I would make another knot above it, and it wasn't lining up right, but eventually in the end I got it. It just took a little bit of time. And then here, now that I've got my knots all lined up, I am just going to go in with some E6000 and some hot glue. And I chose to go with the E6000 with this because since these frames they've got a little bit of weight to them, I wanted to make sure that these were going to be strong and sturdy on my wall, and I didn't want to wake up in the middle of the night to like crashing or something. So yeah, I used the E6000 for that strong permanent hold, and then the hot glue for the immediate hold. And I only glue these on the frames because later on in life, if I chose to change out the pictures, I can still do so. Now here is where I just take my pair of scissors and I cut the stands off of there. This is actually very easy to do, and just as long as you have a good pair of scissors, it was pretty easy to clip off. And I was hoping that this was going to be like a continuous long piece of rope, but it wasn't working out that way, and I had to actually cut the rope at the very top. So this is just a close-up view of what I had already done. Like I said, I had to clip the very top of this, and it was just because the knots were not lining up the way I wanted them to, and I'd already glued the one side down, so I couldn't go back and untie the knots. So yeah, but anyway, and then I just had to use some reinforcement and put some extra hot glue on top of the rope, and so this is what it looks like so far. And because I ended up having to clip the top of the rope, I just kind of took the two ends and I just kind of twisted them together and used some hot glue so it would hold. And since that doesn't look very pretty, you'll see I'll change the angle here in just a minute. You'll see that I take some extra nautical rope and I just wrap it around there just to give it a prettier finish. So as you can see here, I'm just putting a dab of hot glue and I'm just winding and winding and winding just to kind of cover up that little mistake that I had there. But you know, I'm kind of glad that I did it this way because I think it gave it like a nice added touch to it, and it made it look a little bit more farmhouse. So in the end, this is how it turned out, and I think this is so stinking cute. I couldn't be more pleased with this. Y'all, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Share this and hit subscribe. Ring the little bell so you can get notified anytime I upload a new video. And y'all have a wonderful, blessed day. Stay safe. Bye.